Hardcore Wrestling Radio. In HWR, we may not drop a lot of pipe bombs, but we sure as hell drop a lot of F-bombs. So don't say you weren't warned. Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of Hardcore Wrestling Radio. I'm the Shining Star, Rick Star, and of course we get the whole crew. First, he's my sidekick, he's my partner, and he's all attitude, no filter. He's the son of a bitch, Andy. Andy, welcome to Hardcore Wrestling Radio.
Hello, how's everybody doing?
Well, of course, we don't have the whole crew here. One person is missing, and that's the wrestler gamer, Billy Boudreaux from WGS TV. He is missing in action tonight. We think he's having a special operation. We don't know what, but we'll talk about that later. And, of course, over from CWA, we have Joe Knight. Joseph, how you doing tonight?
Pretty good, and it's good to be here. When do we start the TNA bashing?
Oh, that's very shortly. And then way over from the West Coast, we have the Bay Area MVP, known as Will. Will, how you doing?
That WWE poll. Kill it.
Then from the Big Easy. And then from the Big Easy, we have James. James, how we doing?
I have to save up money towards November so I can buy WrestleMania tickets for the city. Dang it.
Yeah, make sure that's on your bucket list. And then last but not least, we have the incomparable Lance Moss. Lance, welcome to HWR.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, guys, we got quite a bit of news to talk about. First, we'll start off with some, TNA bashing. And, of course, who wants to start the TNA bashing? But, of course, the TNA founder, Jerry Jarrett, has quite a bit of news bashing to do. He was in a recent interview with Inside the Ropes and asked about TNA's future, and this is what he had to say. I'm amazed because there was when I was there, Bob Carter called me at least 2 or 3 times a week and said, "We can't lose any more money, Jerry." And and basically what he said is, you need to talk to your daughter, not me, and the daughter being Dixie Carter. She's running the place. So I'm amazed that they're in business at this point. It's safe to say that TNA will continue to be subsidized by Bob Carter until he dies. And then I think TNA will go the way of ECW in the territory days. Joe, since you were so big on the TNA bashing, over to you. What's your thoughts?
They need to fire everyone and restart the company from scratch. Restart. Where's that restart button?
I don't know. Maybe it might be somewhere in the back. I think Hulk Hogan's kind of like covering it. Andy, what are your thoughts?
As we've said before, I don't really know what the answer is with TNA because there seems to be a lot of shit flying around about she needs to do this, she needs to do that, but she needs to go back to six-sided ring and what she was doing 5 years ago because she's got worse as the years have gone on. She needs to go back and restyle the old product.
Yeah,
and forget about trying to compete with people that she's not even on par with.
Absolutely. James, what's your thoughts?
What Joseph and Andy said is like basically this is a point in time that we need to restart. Where do we start? We need to restart in management. This is how for me it's gonna go. It's either TNA is gonna go down and be sold to WWE, or they need to restructure this whole thing, bring in new talent. Don't work. Try to find find places where they can earn money instead of like losing it all on doing these like tours and stuff.
Will, let me ask you, do you think TNA's the first move that they need to do is stop going on the road? Because obviously that's where the problems really seem to start, or at least it appeared to start. Do you think they need to, become stationary again?
They're going to have to. They should have never did these road trips in the first place. It hurt them financially in the pocket. And, yeah, just like I said, in the pocket for those who know your bank and financial statements quota. But, yeah, they should have stayed where they were at the asylum in Tennessee or, back where they were in Florida. I mean, it was the best thing going for them. I mean, like, I know one of us stated on a previous interview that, when they started doing these trips, the financial thing was going to just rupture them badly. The ratings were going bad. I mean, there are TNA fans nationwide, but they're hurting themselves as much as the fans are too. They should have just stayed in one place. The venue would have helped them, but this is going down faster than the Titanic. But it's cliche, but we all know it's true.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. Lance, finally over to you. This is my question for you. Right now, we know that TNA is pretty much doing 2 shows a week, and one show's live and one show's taped. And unfortunately, that's not helping them because everybody knows that the second show just seems to be crap. And while the first show of the week, the live show, is probably a better show than their second show. Would you think they would be better for them if they just did their second show during the week and they made it like a secondary show? Or do you think they just need to do something different?
Do something different because they don't have, one, the exposure to do a secondary show, and two, right now I don't think they have the talent to do a secondary show. I don't know what to tell them to do different, but a secondary show ain't the answer.
Well, while we're talking about talent, we all know that Mickie James been recently released, according to reports. She wants to know if she wants to go. She's talking about considering going back to WWE, but WWE, she was fired from there mostly because of behavioral issues. One incident was back when she was the European tour was late because she was held up from the bus from leaving. Andy, do you think that Mickie James, if she goes back, what do you think the chance of her going back there?
None.
Really?
None whatsoever. Because two reasons why she put on her own website why she left. Number one, she hadn't got full artistic control of her musical career, and Vince will never give her that. And number two, he kept saying she was far too fat. She hasn't got any slimmer. So do you really think he's going to change his mind? I don't think so. Not that I'm saying she's fat, because
I
she
agree,
could sleep
absolutely.
in my bed anytime.
Yeah, she's very sexy, very talented.
I think the problem is I don't know. She's changed a lot, and I think she's got too big for her boots. She thinks she's bigger than what she is. Yeah, she's a big mega star, but she's not as big as people like John Cena, and she thinks she is. I think it's gone to her head too much.
Will, over to you. What are your thoughts? Would you agree with Andy, or would you disagree? Do you think that she has a shot?
Well,
Question was too hard.
All right. You know what? We'll kick it over to Joe then. Joe, over to you.
I personally believe that it's good for her to go back. Imagine the storyline, the original Psycho Diva versus the new Psycho Diva and AJ Lee. So it's a strong possibility, a lot of potential, and they're bringing back a lot of the old names that people are still going to remember.
All right. Lance, here's a question. Even though we have right now we have a little bit both. I'm going to have you be the tiebreaker. Since she left, Mickie James left, she's just started doing that little psycho and little psycho diva. And with WrestleMania 30 coming around, would it make sense for her to come back to WWE?
Yes, it would, but one, she really didn't fit Vince's mold, and he won't like that. But I would love to see the battle of the psychotic Daisy Duke wearing chicks. That would be friggin' awesome.
All right. Is Will back with us, or is Will still incognito?
I'm still here.
All right. Well, the question is right now is, Mickie James will she go back to the WWE? Some people, Andy thinks that it's not going to happen because of that. Vince thinks she was too fat, and obviously, some people it was also due to her attitude issues. My question is, can she go back also now with the new management control of Vince and Stephanie? Do you think that'll be a factor?
Oh man, you know what? This can go either way, Rick, and I mean it could go either way. But yeah, if anybody remembered the bully segment back in 2007 with her against Cool, but we don't have all night for that. But I could see her coming back within the role of her possibly facing AJ Lee. I mean, with Triple H and Stephanie at the helm, and God know where Vince is at. I mean, there's no way she's going back to TNA. So I mean, where else is she gonna go? I mean, Mickie James has been in WWE longer than TNA, to be quite honest. And if she were to go back, this can at least resurrect her career as opposed to her music career. But I would give it for her to go back in WWE just in case she want to get back in there, because TNA is just going down the pipe.
All right. And James, finally, over to you.
Well, for me, this is the thing about for me. I'm looking at this and standpoint of, is she gonna continue on with her music career? And there's the possibility she could go back, but it really depends on if they want to do it short term, or does she want to continue like long term, basically. Um, and I say I agree with a couple of the people here to see if she returns. I would like to see a AJ Lee, Mickie James crazy chick feud. It would bring popularity back into that Divas division that's basically dead right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it would make a good feud. The question is, will that happen? I guess we're all gonna have to wait and see. But another person who just recently left TNA, of course, Ken Anderson, or also known as Mr. Kennedy of the WWE, his contract expired, and now he's no longer with the company.
Bad move, Dixie.
You know what, Andy? Yeah, bad move. Andy, all these people, we're seeing people, these contracts. We've seen Mickie James, we've seen Ken Anderson, AJ Styles' contract is supposed to be up, Hulk Hogan, and all these people's contracts are up. What do you think's going on?
They can't afford the wage bill, and they're keeping the dregs, getting rid of the people that are making the company, and getting and keeping all the dregs. I mean, 90% of the roster they're getting rid of, or should I say 90% of the ones who've got names they're getting rid of. Or is it the other way around? Are the internet reporting that they are getting rid of them? Is it the fact that these stars are jumping ship like they were with WCW? They know it's going down the toilet and they're getting out before it sinks. Are they jumping off the Titanic?
Well, what do you think? Do you think that it was a good idea? Do you think they should have tried to give Mr. Anderson what they wanted to try to keep him, or do you think that Mr. Anderson just said screw you, left? What do you what's your thoughts?
I don't usually say this, but again, Andy knows what he's talking about. This is bad for ball, and I use this term loosely back on Blog TV when I talked about wrestling. This is bad for ball. I mean, once again, Dixie Carter thinks she's a single entity, thinking that there's a new vision at TNA. She fucked up again. You had so much good talent that was wrestling for you, and now they're dropping out. I mean, let's go back to Luke Gallows, aka Drew Hankerson, the guy that played Doc. He was a good talent. We can go back and forth on this, but this is bad move by TNA, letting Anderson go. When he was a champion, he really put himself in a position to say to the fans, he wanted to be himself, unlike the WWE. But going forward, this is a bad move. Dixie knows it's a bad move. The fans know it's a bad move. Is this going to cost them? Yeah, damn right it is. Just give it some time. The ratings will plummet even further. Just wait and see.
James,
That's the big problem with when I was talking about Ring of Honor the other week. Ring of Honor have had people like Austin Aries and so on and so forth. When you watch Ring of Honor now, it's like watching an indie company that you've never ever been before. You don't know any of the talent. And what's happened to Ring of Honor? Straight down the toilet. That'll be gone in a year. They've got nobody on their roster. Wow. They've got Matt Hardy. Wow, he's a big crowd puller, crowd pleaser. Not. That's their biggest talent they've got in their company at the moment.
yep. James, real quick, what's your thoughts? And okay, we'll move over to Joe. Joe,
You're killing everybody here.
yeah,
They're dropping quicker than Dixie can drop them.
yeah, pretty much.
Has James been fired?
Not yet, that I know of. Let me ask you, if Mr. Anderson leaving TNA, what do you think the strong chances of him going back to WWE?
I would see him going back to SmackDown. He will go to that brand, help some of the younger guys up, and really revitalize that promotion. That branch, that franchise. Um, what one thing that everybody misses is not Dixie Carter who's dropping the ball. It's literally everybody else. It's the management. Dixie's mom controls the money, so if she don't want to renew them, Dixie could say, "Oh, mom, let's keep them." They're gonna say no, they can't afford it. I think it's a good move for TNA to start letting go all these high rolling guys who are not doing anything and start building up your talent. Because let's face it, Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, um, Christopher Daniels, Kazarian, these guys are not WWE material and they're too old. They're old already and they're not going to be wanted. So what's going to happen is if TNA is smart, and that's really, that's really stretching it. Uh, they will get rid of let the let the talent WWE talent go back. They had their vacation time with TNA. Let them go back. Don't don't weep a tear. Don't shed a tear for them, and just go. Okay, now it's time to build up the guys and get their name out there. That's the problem with TNA. They don't get their name, their own talent out there. What's so hard about sending AJ Styles or one of the other people out to go sign autographs at a pizza place or comic book shop or something? They don't market their guys, so that's why they're not known.
You know what? I actually, believe it or not, what I did see today, I saw Sting. I think it was on the Today Show on Fox, and he was advertising Impact. And it was like it said TNA wrestler Sting, and he was talking about how the main event Mafia was going to be taking on Aces and Eights.
See, about time somebody, but notice it's Sting. It's not um, it's not Hogan, who's the actual you know flag bearer. He's the one that's big in the company, so why can't he go do it? No, and he's been on more shows than Sting. So, but I think somebody's leaking out my info and saying, market your guys. So it's for Sting to get out there and start doing it. I think it's a good move.
Somebody been listening to Hardcore Wrestling Radio over in TNA.
Yeah, I think so. Curses.
Dang it. Why you have to open your mouth, Joe?
Why? I'm not complaining. If they're gonna be listening to the show, maybe we can get a few of them on the show.
Yeah.
Lance, over to you. Do you think Mr. Anderson? Can you see him going over to like the WWE roster? Do you see him maybe going into the Performance Center training where a lot of previous WWE staff is gone?
Well, how did he get fired again
I don't. I
from
think
WWE?
He's just basically out of contract, isn't he?
No,
He's,
not from TNA.
from
Not
WWE.
TNA.
He had just finished a movie, and from what I understand, he left because from when he went into TNA, he was not on good terms with Triple H.
That's what I'm saying.
So
I don't see that happening.
Exactly.
Especially with Triple H being a big dog in charge. I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, because
Would love it, but I just don't see it happening.
Because I remember he was even when he even went on to TNA and he even mocked Triple H, and he goes, you gotta do certain things a certain way, and he was like saying, I don't like the way you walk, I don't like you do certain angles, I don't like the way you wrestle, and he was like, he didn't say who it was, but just the way he walked, he goes, he's got three initials, HHH, it was like, that's Triple H, and it was really. I mean, I don't know how thick Triple H's skin is. He might just brush it off and say, yeah, he might be quote unquote good for business to have him in. Um, who knows? You never know. But if he
Hey,
does, go ahead.
here's the thing. Regardless of anything, regardless of what terms he left on, okay, he is still a name. He was a former WWE name. For him to come back and get a push, it's kind of a slap in TNA. Like, look, we could do stuff that you couldn't do with your team. You had the Kennedy there, Anderson there, and you couldn't do anything about it. You couldn't do it. Like me. Look, meanwhile, look, he's right here. We're giving him title shots. He's all over the networks. He's probably gonna go do those Make a Wish foundations. So, he's gonna go back. All these guys who left from WWE. Look at Rob Van Dam.
I think
So
Rob Van Dam's a little bit more marketable.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I like Mr. Anderson. I mean, I think the asshole character was very marketable. The gimmick was very marketable. But at the end of the day, I mean, he wasn't really selling a lot of T-shirts. RVD, everybody loves RVD. I mean, everybody chants RVD, RVD. I mean, everywhere he went from ECW to WWE, the first run, to TNA, to the WWE, the second run. I don't think Mr. Anderson will get that kind of a pop. Secondly, if from what I understand, I mean, from what where it says, Triple H went out and reached out for him, RVD, mind you. It's possible. Another person actually who was recently behind, we're talking about former TNA talent, which went to WWE. Lisa Varon, I'll call it Tara because she was in TNA, was at Raw this past weekend behind the scenes visiting friends. And who was she hanging out with? Paul Heyman. Now you guys are wondering what's the significance of this? Paul Heyman.
He keeps saying he's going to bring a new talent, and as I said the other week, everyone's saying, who's the new bloke going to be? Who says it's a bloke?
Bingo, Andy. And he said one time, who says it might be a woman? What do you think, Andy, the chance of it being her?
As much as I think the internet will try and push it, I think she's far too old for the WWE. That'll be Vince's, not mine, but Vince's attitude. She's far too old.
Yeah, because she did join in. She did start WWE late. I think she started in her 30s.
Even though she has got a body to die for, when you watch the TNA show, and they seem to get closer camera angles than the WWE. She looks like a face he's caught fire and they batter out with a shovel.
Yeah, I think even Jason Storm even called her a butterface.
Yeah, she is. Beautiful body, butterface.
Yep. Let me ask you. Would you like to see Tara back in the WWE, or do you agree with Andy? She's just a bit too old for that.
The question is, how old is she?
41. 41.
Yeah, she's in. Yeah.
When you're about your 40s, the only way you're gonna actually be noticed is if you still got the ring work and you're ready to go. But we've seen many wrestlers in our lifetime around 50 and still wrestled. But I would never think a diva or a former diva or women's competitor over 40 that wrestled. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you guys probably know more about this. But
sorry.
I was going to say, I could see Tara coming back to the WWE only if she's in shape. You know how they say you got to be in good shape to be in the WWE? Look how they're doing Cassius now. You know, now they're really making sure you got to have this good physique, you're healthy, and you're ready to go. But at 41, and the way she looks like she's ready to go. But, I mean, time will tell at this rate. Time will really tell.
The only way you can make her look hot is cremate the bitch.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Damn, Andy. Tell us how you really feel.
Yeah. Well, James, why don't you tell us how you feel? What do you think? Do you think she belongs back in the WWE? Even if it was like a once, like a short run back. What do you think?
I think, going to, I'm gonna have to do two things at once for this one. For the Tara question, I think she could come back, but I think it would be for a short time. Right now, she is getting back in shape. She's actually, I look at Vine too. She's actually doing like a lot of her like, getting in shape and like exercising and stuff, like big workouts that she does, like shows on her Vine videos. And but I could only see her for like a short. I don't see her like a long term.
Uh,
Um, and like going to like I have to go back to the Mr. Anderson thing because I didn't get a chance to say anything about that. I'm not gonna see. I don't see Anderson coming back to WWE because of the whole situation with Triple H. I think he could
okay.
maybe, but at the same time, I just because of Triple H, I don't see it. But we've seen crazier things like Bruno Sammartino in the Hall of Fame. You know.
Rick, sorry if I can interject
Yep. Sure.
on James's thought for a second. So you would say, bro, he helping out like SmackDown or the Development Center to get the newer talent.
I could I could
You know,
see the development center,
yeah.
but not back on TV.
Oh.
So you're saying his career is basically over, less than he thought on time. What do you think?
As I said, it's just because of the whole situation with Triple H. Do you
Right.
think Triple H is gonna go out and say, okay, we want you to come back on TV? I could see like maybe McMahon say, okay, but I don't know about Triple H. But
Yeah, because of the fallout. But yeah, I mean, I would say one more go, but he has a lot of kissing ass to do. But we'll talk about that in another show. Go ahead, Rick.
All right. Thanks. All right, Lance. What do you? While we're talking about Tara, do you think Tara? Well, since we're talking about the Performance Center, do you think Tara could be in the Performance Center to train, or would you see her just as a one-time run-in? So maybe the WWE could like induct her in the Hall of Fame type of thing.
I could see both happening.
Fair enough.
Like they get her in the Hall of Fame, then they get her a job for the Performance Center.
All right. And finally over to Joe. Joe, what's your thoughts about Tara?
Yeah. And what I see basically what they can do with her is you forget there's more than just being a wrestler. She could be a general manager. She could be a valet like Sensational Sherry. So, you know, there's so much that she could be like in charge of the divas and all that. You never know.
Yeah, because Sensational Sherry was Butterface, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was. There's a few divas that I hate to say that are butterface. If you look at Angelina Love, same thing. Great body, but it's you got that face is just looks like a car ran over it. Um, moving on. Yeah,
I'm sorry, Rick. When you said it like that, you made it sound like she's symbolic to roadkill. I'm sorry.
she pretty much is. It's like
Damn.
if you start looking up from her legs, it's like, wow, look at those legs, look at those hips, wow, look at that body, look at those nice breasts, and then all of a sudden, look at her body face, you're like, ah, Jesus Christ, put it away.
Run! All y'all run!
Uh, uh, you know. So anyway, moving on. We've been talking over the past couple weeks about AJ Styles. We know his contract is up in January. I'm sorry, December. 1 month ahead of myself. There's reports that the WWE might have very little, if not any, interest in the 36-year-old wrestler. The Figure 4 Weekly stated this is what they said. There is far less interest from AJ from the WWE side than a normal, rational person would think. Joe, I'm going to start with you.
Say it again. You kind of caught out. Could you say the question again? I'm sorry.
Sure. Basically, the WWE, in short, is saying that they're having little or no interest in AJ Styles. What's your thoughts to that?
I would agree because again, AJ Styles is not a household name. He all his time in TNA, and he hasn't done anything to promote himself. He's not like marketable. He's not like Daniel Bryan. It's again, it's he's basically to WWE another independent worker, and no knock against him, but he's a independent worker to them. He, you know, he's already too old, even though Jericho's older and a lot of the other guys are catching up. But you know, it again, AJ doesn't have that marketing appeal, that attraction that will bring him in, because that's one thing with WWE. They want to bring people in that can be marketable and that have some sort of name. RVD had a name before going there. Booker T, all these other people. Daniel Bryan was known on Ring of Honor and several indies. So, that's the unfortunate thing with AJ is he's got the skills still, but he doesn't have he's not known. And even though TNA fans will say, yes, he is, he's known, he's not. TNA wrestlers are not known.
Lance, your thoughts?
Doesn't really surprise me. And well, honestly, I wouldn't want him to go for the main reason they would screw him.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. Andy, I know how you feel about TNA wrestlers going to WWE, so I'm just going to let you kick it.
If he went, they would do the same to him as they did with Awesome Kong. Do I think there's any chance of him ever getting to the WWE? No, because he's never been a WWE star. He's big in TNA's book, but to be perfectly honest, he's TNA made. Vince hasn't made him. Vince won't promote anyone he hasn't made. I think people are overlooking that Vince will not take somebody else's product and run with it. If they have him in, he will come in as a complete new character, and he's too old for Vince to create him a new character and get him over.
And that is an interesting point. AJ is 36 years old. James, 36. How would he be able to start over if he did decide to make the jump to WWE?
This is hard, really, because I have to agree with a lot of people because I don't think he is WWE made. Because basically, what they're gonna have to do if they do sign AJ Styles, they're gonna have to put him into the Performance Center and try to build him from there, and that's gonna take time. I just don't see it. It's gonna take time for him to develop all the stuff, the new stuff
Well, I
that
don't
he
mean
has to do.
his wrestling skills. I meant more of his gimmick skills. That's what I meant, because he's obviously he's going to keep the Styles Clash, his calf killer, his moveset's done.
Yeah, his movesets are done, but but also the Performance Center also helps out with like gimmick stuff, his promos and all that stuff, and that's what basically I think it's still gonna take time for him to get used to WWE.
Well, Will, hearing all this, do you think your thoughts? Yes or no? Do you think he should just stay in TNA, or do you think he should go to WWE and give it a shot for the bigger paycheck?
Well, as the report says, there's little of no chance of him even going to WWE. But the thing is, there's the old thing, you gotta swallow your pride sometimes. I don't know if you guys heard it before growing up, but in this case, I'm not gonna mark out and say he should go to WWE. I mean, he's been TNA since TNA started. I don't see him going to WWE, to be quite honest here. I mean, he's been there for like, what, 12, 13 years, if I'm correct?
Yep.
Basically, he's been there. And, when he said it's my house, AJ built, you can basically say yes. But just to end it in question, I don't think he should go to WWE because WWE has been well known for watering their talent. Yes, I say watered it because they did it to a lot of good indie talent. So what makes it any different if AJ goes? El Generico and Pac ring a bell, fellas? All that talent And what the fuck we get? Watered down versions of Adrian Neville and Sami Zayn. I just don't see it working out. They're gonna water him down like they do other talent. It's just not good for business. Triple H. I hope he listens to this.
All right. We're going to switch gears a little bit. I know we've been kind of bashing on TNA for the past 20, 30 minutes. Let's head over to WWE for a minute. This past week on Raw, we saw Cody Rhodes and his brother Gold just jump the guardrail. And in an interview, Triple H said he was going to press charges, which of course is kayfabe. And then instead of that, he said next week on Raw he's going to be inviting the two brothers on Raw to speak out on their actions. Obviously, this is the opening for Cody Rhodes to come back. Andy, what are your thoughts on the segment and Cody Rhodes possibly the next week's promo? And Andy's fell asleep.
You tell him, Andy.
Sorry, my mic was on mute, and all I said was boring.
Wow.
Is this the best storyline that the WWE creative team can come up with? Wow, let's get Goldust in the audience and jump over the guardrail. Wow, well done, Triple H. 10 out of 10 for being an arse.
I think they did it just to find a way to, because he was fired, so how else are they going to bring him in? And, considering Goldust wrestled and lost, so it's like, okay, let's make it a little bit, okay.
What they can do, I mean, they had his old man in this week. What are they going to do? Dig up his grandfather?
Well, look at the bright side. At least you got.
Well, they're going through all the Rhodes family.
I think
when somebody who's named Rhodes, when somebody with the surname Rhodes actually comes in and wins a fight, Cody can get his job back. Do we really care if Cody gets his job back? I don't.
Yeah, I know you don't care for the guy.
He can stay out of the WWE for my liking and do a swap. Bring AJ Styles in WWE and put Cody Rhodes in TNA.
Well, look at the bright side.
Because he's the sort of wrestler that TNA are employing at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
The wannabes.
Yeah. Well, look at the bright side. At least you get to see Dusty Rhodes get knocked out.
It's a shame they had a really bad camera angle because I just really wanted to see his nose go a bit flatter to his face. Brother.
Damn.
I just hope he didn't bite his tongue because he can't afford to shave any more off that tongue.
Joe, what were your thoughts about the segment and what they're kind of trying to work with it?
It just proves my point, what I was saying before. They're using the old stars to try to bolster their new stars. It's the same thing we were saying before when we were talking about Ken Anderson, Mickey James, and even the Dudleys, if the Dudleys leave. We already know Devon left. So you're looking at what they're doing. They're influxing, they're using the old talent to help their new talent because they've done everything with their new talent. They don't have anything for the new talent to do. They've done it all. So to do like this type of scenario where they bring in an old and new, new is in Cody, old is in Dustin, and combining it and say, okay, look, you got the celebrity guy who used to be there with them, and now you have the young one who's trying to get a name for himself, and it's working because they got the attention. And Goldust has been traveling around the indies for some time. It's going to be good for business. So, I think it's a good idea for them to use this scenario. Should they have done it differently? Absolutely. I think they should have done it completely different. Because some of their storylines are not up to par.
I know there's PG-13, whatever it is, but I'm sure they get 13-year-olds to write the storylines. I really do. I mean, the best person they could have had fight for his career would have been Ted DiBiase. Bring him back, for God's sake. Missing talent.
Wow.
Of the two people, I've said this before and I'll say it again. They had a choice of two people to keep: Cody Rhodes, Ted DiBiase. They got rid of Ted DiBiase and kept Cody Rhodes. Dixie Carter mistake.
But you know what? This could be a benefit to maybe this is something new. Think about it. If the let's say the Rhodes family are merging together, the DiBiase's might merge together and help the Rhodes. And you might see again, you'll see an influx of vets with young guys making a push together to bring the WWE more ratings. And that's all that's all anybody cares about, the WWE's ratings.
Do you
They
know?
burn their talent through.
Do you know one of the things that I think everyone is finding difficult with the WWE and where it doesn't work? How many storylines are there per week? Everybody's getting shit confused. WWE in the 80s had one storyline. That was it. People had feuds, but there was one storyline. There's that many storylines going in the WWE. You get confused. Who's doing what to who and why? It's all storylines. There's no feuds. It's storyline driven, and they seem to carry a storyline on. Take the general manager as an example. How long did they run that clusterfuck for before they dropped it? We never really found out who it was.
Hornswoggle.
It was just pathetic. We're getting bombarded with too many storylines. I'm beginning to lose the plot of who's got issues with who.
The problem is, Andy, is that they have too much TV time, and then they're doing a pay-per-view every month. They're burning through their content and storylines so much that, you know, technically, that's the situation. You know, they don't have anything else to do. So, with overflowing of a big overflowing roster, because they now have the performance center. They now have the um you know the NXT. They have too many people for their own good. So they're burning content out with too many storylines to make it interesting, and what they forget is it's not that interesting.
I mean, this new thing that they've brought out, this new wrestling school, it's no different than OVW.
Well, I think what they did with the performance center, since you brought that up, which is actually, I think the performance center is more about so they can do it within. Because OVW, if I'm not mistaken, Joe, you can probably clarify this. Was I think they were subsidizing. They were probably paying that like it was like an outside company. Am I correct on that?
It's basically a way that they can get rid of tax. That's all it is.
Yeah, and it's but now they're creating talent from within. Before they would have hire outside talent or talent that would actually say, okay, I want to go to OVW, and the WWE say, okay, fine, who's at OVW? If they like it, and they'll check them. And now it's, well, okay, you want to wrestle? Okay, well, you gotta go to the Performance Center. It's their logo, it's their company. At OVW, they didn't have the WWE logo. You see where I'm coming from?
Yeah. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, really.
That's what I was talking about earlier, how other wrestlers from the WWE, if they don't wrestle because they're either their age or just the fact that they're not marketable, they can say, fine, you want to work, you want to get paid, work over the Performance Center. Here's another thing. There was rumors that Michelle McCool and The Undertaker were working out at the Performance Center. And there's some talks about Michelle McCool possibly coming back for a run. What do you guys think of that? Will, over to you.
No.
Well, Andy's already said no. We know that Andy feels about that. Will, over to you.
Wow. The Undertaker, Michelle McCool, WWE's most real powerful couple there. I mean, you got a legend that's held many titles, and then a lady who just
as old the Undertaker's cock. Say it like it is.
I meant to say she's probably one of the most athletic divas I know to have retired, but I could see them helping out future talent. I wouldn't say long term, but give them some guidelines, some advice, something like that. But damn you, Andy broke me. Just go to somebody.
come back for a short run for a feud at WrestleMania 30. So I don't think again it'll be a long run. It'll be a short run.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's what you said. Yeah, I could see them maybe make an appearance for WWE WrestleMania 30. Yeah, I could see that. Damn you! I need a drink. Fuck you,
Wow.
fuck you, Andy.
James, over to you.
The question is with Michelle McCool is what kind of feud do you see with her being if the rumors were correct?
That's gonna be
No.
a very good question. Maybe that's why they brought Tara back. Well, I'm sorry, that's why we had the, she was back at Raw. Again, she could have just been visiting because it was in her hometown, Chicago. So,
Yeah,
guys,
that's what it is more so. It's
so
more visiting.
I think she could feud with anybody. Don't forget, she was feud with her good friend Layla. Lay Cool. They could have a nice little feud there for WrestleMania. That would be an interesting thing.
They can do that. They can
um,
do that, or they could extend maybe Total Divas
But
feud a
I don't think so. I don't think
while.
we go there. Who knows? It's a very good question. Actually, you know what, James? I'm sorry. Lance, what's your thoughts? Who do you think?
Well, I think since there are two divas that look exactly alike that claim to be veterans, well, y'all think y'all are veterans? Let me show you what a true veteran is like. One of the Bellas. For like a show 'em up at Mania or something, maybe, I don't know.
Very good question. Very good possibility. Very good. Joe, what are your thoughts?
You know what? I actually like that idea. What, how good would it be a storyline for them to bring Victoria, Michelle McCool, and Mickey James in as, like saying, hey, we were here way before you, and we can work. You girls can't. And I think it's a good, strong possibility. Would it be a long-term deal? Absolutely not. It'll probably be a one-shot deal. And I don't think Mark Callis, the Undertaker, is going to allow her to do a lot of, wrestling. Okay, yeah, do a one shot and that's it. So, but such an entertaining idea to have three former divas merged together to kind of upset the new ones and say, oh, look at you. You got your own little reality show. And we didn't have reality shows. No, we fought, kicked, and beat each other. And it's kind of like you know, it's kind of like, remember back when they brought Moolah, Wendy Richter, and Mae Young in, and they had like Mickey James and all these young girls in there. So honestly, I think it's a good idea. But you'll see it's a one-shot deal.
All right, Andy. I think we know you've already said pretty much no. Do you have anything else you want to add aside from just no?
I think they'll probably bring. I can see over the next couple of months they're going to start bringing in a lot. I think that's why RVD's in there, not just because of the Hall of Fame, but it's the 30th anniversary of WrestleMania, and they're going to try and get some old stars back in.
Yeah, maybe they're just trying to bring him in rather than bring him in at the last minute. Try to kind of bring him in early in the year. Say, okay, we'll bring you in now, and then once they're done, shoot them off the door.
I think they'll probably keep RVD in for another WrestleMania run and probably a little gold ring, and then he'll be gone. And I think they could do the same with some of the other wrestlers who are still actually working, not retired, and just get them some kind of match for WrestleMania.
Yeah. Well, while we're talking,
Because they've got to do something. Because I'm sorry, I'm really not hyped up about watching the Undertaker on his 21st defense. I'm really not. I was bored shitless for the last 5.
I agree with you there.
And the more they drag on, the more it is to me now. When the Undertaker match comes on, it's piss break time, because I can't remember the last time he put up a decent show in the ring.
It's like
and
watching Ric
people
Flair.
say, well, you've got to think of his age, but stuff his age is taking up valuable airtime where some new talent could be having their break in WrestleMania.
I agree.
Stuff the 21-0, who cares? No one's ever going to beat the record anyway.
I agree with you. And
It's a complete waste of airtime.
Absolutely.
And anyone that thinks different's an idiot.
Yeah. Or a mark.
Yeah. There's just too many has-beens in WrestleMania.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick, while you talked about RVD, RVD is only doing 90-day blocks, and then he's taking a break. The WWE was trying to re-sign him for a longer-term deal, but RVD wants nothing to do with it. Andy, what do you think about that one?
It's difficult to stay off cannabis for 90 days.
Isn't it, Rick?
Yeah. Actually, yeah, it can be. I've actually been off for a week, and already I'm losing my mind. But in all seriousness, he actually decided to quit smoking himself. He's not smoking while he's there. And that's what
The thing with RVD, I think, is he knows he's at the end of his career. He knows he's going to go in the Hall of Fame, and I think he just wants to go out with the company that he knows is the biggest company on the planet. He doesn't want to go out with TNA.
I think it's more the payday, because I think WWE gives them bigger paychecks. I think,
and I know one of his main reasons for leaving the WWE in the first place is because he blamed two things. One, his wife had got cancer, and number two, he felt he was too old to be on the road for 300 plus days a year. And you can't really blame him for that. It's like Chris Jericho. He wants to do 4 or 5 months on the road and go and do other ventures. And I think he's the same. He's got a lucrative business, last I heard, selling wrestling memorabilia and comics and wrestling figures, and making a nice little book out of that his wife apparently runs the store. So he doesn't really need the money. He's got the fame. I just think he's having his last run before he hangs his boots up.
all right. Well, we're going to move on to our last subject, which of course is a bit of an interesting one. Randy Orton is apparently now divorced, is now dating newlycomer diva Jojo. Now she's only 19 years old, while Randy Orton is 16 years her senior. Some people think it's kind of inappropriate because she's just barely legal, while Orton is pretty much in his mid 30s. Do you guys think it's appropriate? Now, the first person I want to ask is Joe. Joe, what are your thoughts?
Well, it's not really inappropriate because she is up to age. So, and she can make up her decision. So, again, it's like any older man or any older woman, they want some fresh meat. So,
Fresh fanny.
Yeah.
exactly. So, and if the individual is interested, then by all means, if they have an agreement and it works, again, I don't see a problem with it.
All right.
What will happen in a couple of more years? Maybe she'll dump him for someone younger. She'll give him the RKO.
And she'll be the cougar. All right. Will, over to you. What are your thoughts?
You know what? This old love family lifetime story channel shit, man. It's like this. If two people want to fall in love, go on ahead. They always say don't mix business with pleasure because it's a bad mix and it's a bad recipe. But in this case, like you said, Rig, Orton's divorce. Jojo failed a couple times. I mean, for those who watch Total Divas, like a couple people in this call we know, I mean, just Jojo, I don't think she knows the concept of what real love is. And then now, ain't this like her third stint of a relationship or something like that? But I don't really got much to say about this, but I don't think this is going to last long. I'm sorry. I don't got that much to say on this, Rick. I'm really sorry, but I just don't see this lasting as it's probably got to be. I'm sorry.
All right. James, what's your thoughts?
I'm gonna be with MVP. I don't see this lasting long. She's over the age of 18. Let's say that, and On is like almost twice her age. But it's her decision. It's their decision. I'm okay with it, but I just don't see it lasting long.
All right. Lance, your thoughts?
Honestly, if they're two consenting adults, ain't nobody abusive, who gives a fuck?
Amen. Finally, Andy, over to you.
What can I say? Only 16 years difference.
Yep.
And there's your answer. There's your answer.
What
Pretty
can I
much.
really say? What can I really say without shooting myself in the testicles? There's not a lot I can say because without going too in depth, for the listeners, my girlfriend of 10 years mother is only 6 years older than me.
No. Okay.
Need I go any further?
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. Hypothetically, now we know you have a son, but let me ask you. Let's say if you had a daughter and she was 19 years old, says, "Dad,
Hell
I'm
no.
Okay,
Hell
so
no.
that's the question. That's what I'm trying to get to. I'm trying to do some pros and cons. We understand that, hey, it's not in our situation, but if it was in your situation, it was your daughter or a niece or somebody that you cared about.
If I have got a bit of a problem with it. If she was a lot older, then it's not so bad. It's like me and my Sarah were talking months and months ago about it, and it seems really funny. Like, I was 19 when she was 1.
Yeah.
When you get in your mid to late 20s, 30s, and so on, it doesn't sound too bad. But when you bring it down to, well, I was like 18 and she wasn't even born, and that is, you think, that's a bit below the belt. But as you start to get older, it doesn't make a great deal of difference. But at 19, she doesn't know her arse from her elbow. It's in again last.
Yeah. She's
What
in
is going to
love.
be a first official boyfriend, and how many people stick with their first original girlfriends? Not many. And at her age, she's getting what she can from where she can. She ain't going to be a stable relationship for the guy. Now, if she was 25, 26, and he was 40, 45, yeah, it wouldn't be so bad. But 19, I wouldn't like to think my daughter was going with a bloke that was almost 40.
Yeah. And again, yeah, like you said, when you're that age, it's for her, she's probably got twinkly eyes, and for him, obviously, it's fresh meat. It's like, hey, I'm getting
It's
myself in.
just when you get that, like me, when you get that age, if you can pull someone of that age, it's a big boost to your ego. But that
Absolutely.
big boost to your ego is not the be all and end all. It's, yeah, I can pull someone loads younger than me, but it does come with, or comes at a price.
Yeah,
If
absolutely.
anyone's ever been with a younger girl than what they are, it does come at a price because women mature at different ages to men, and it's just a strange thing. I mean, I had issues like, is she going to run off with a younger bloke? Is she going to find somebody younger than me? And this, that, and the other. So you have all these hang-ups all the time. Is she seen me as an old man now after 10 years and she wants a bit of fresh meat? And that's going to go through his head. If the relationship lasts 3 or 4 years down the road, he'll be looking over his shoulder what she's up to.
Well, here's another aspect. Let's say if this relationship hypothetically does work out. Let's say this relationship goes 2 or 3 years, even 4 years. What happens if she starts to want to have kids? Because obviously he's raised his kids, or he already has his children. He's going to be 40, 45, and I'm going to tell you, I mean, even myself, at a 40-year-old, I wouldn't want another kid. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's another big deal. I think, yeah, some people do have children in the 40s and probably early 50s, but not for me. As soon as ever I hit my 30s, it was like, I don't want any more kids. I think about, if you're 30 and you have a child, you're going to be 50 when your child's 20.
Yeah.
Do you really want to put that on your child? It's just.
You want to put that on you, because it's the fact that when that child's 18, 19, the child's even like 15, 16, you're going to be up in your late 40s, early 50s, and you don't want to deal with that, because your child's going to be like, hey, I'm going to do what I want. The child's going to be,
I
rebellious.
mean, I've got friends whose like parents are in their 80s, and there's nothing wrong with having old parents, but a guy that I know, he's 32 and his parents are 85, 86, so they had them almost when they were 50. I wouldn't
Wow.
even contemplate bringing up a child when I was 50.
It's crazy.
You should be bringing up your grandkids at 50, not giving birth to a child.
Exactly. Absolutely, and I totally agree with you. I'm not sure if Joe is back, but we are going to wrap this session up, and I wanted to thank, of course, everyone here, and I do want to thank Joe Knight from Classic Wrestling Association for coming. Andy, where can everyone find you at?
www.stokehaunted.com or Facebook /Stoke Haunted, or Twitter, the official Stoke Haunted, or anywhere else. Just type in Stoke Haunted on Google and you'll find me.
All right. And Will, where can everyone find you at?
Down at James's house beating his ass.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, hell.
Kidding.
And
Actually,
you would see me at MVP's house beating his ass.
you better have the money to fly out here. No, actually, ladies and gentlemen, I'm actually gonna be decided to stop going on Instagit for a while. I decided to go on different ventures right now. But I will still continue to be around HWR. Of course, I am one of the best writers in HWR. So give all your phone numbers, and ladies, hit up Rick. He may not have all the talent, but he's good for it. And go ahead to James.
All right.
Well, for me, I'm gonna be. I'm basically been off Instagram for a while, so yes, I'm gonna be also on the HWR Facebook page. I don't post that much as I used to, but whenever news pops up, I will post up anything.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate that. And, of course, Lance, over to you. Where can we find you at?
YouTube.com/LanceMossTV. Do a little bit of wrestling reviews, NASCAR reviews, album reviews, and whatever else pops into my head.
Questions and answers. That's the last one I watched.
Yeah.
Anything goes.
Pretty much.
Lesbian sex, anything.
Oh, that's
And
Bestiality, you name it. Lance has done it.
No, that would be on Andy's YouTube channel, not mine.
Once again, I do want to thank Joseph Knight of Classic Wrestling Association for joining us. You can reach him over at his Facebook page. That's facebook.com/Classic Wrestling Association. And of course, anytime you want to reach us over at Hardcore Wrestling Radio, head on over to facebook.com/Hardcore Wrestling Radio. And if you want to listen to our shows, head on over to Spreaker.com/HWR Media. Make sure you like us. Make sure you follow us. So for everyone here at Hardcore Wrestling Radio, I'm the Shining Star, Rick Starr, saying, see you when we see you. Thank you for listening to this edition of Hardcore Wrestling Radio. Be sure to follow us on our pages, facebook.com/Hardcore Wrestling Radio and Spreaker.com/HWR Media, and also on youtube.com/HWR Show. Until the next time, this is Rick Starr saying, see you when we see you.